Okay. Welcome today to our Career Ministry Zoom. We are very blessed to have Jay Arbetter as our speaker for a networking talk. It's going to be a little longer than usual, but we're super excited to hear what he has to say. Jay has more than 35 years in the financial industry and is currently a senior vice president for financial planning. And I'm going to let him tell you more about himself. But he is also the author of a power networking strategy, your personal approach to landing your dream job, which can be purchased on Amazon. And he's going to talk about that today. So without further ado, I'll just go ahead and pass it over to Jay. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. Everybody can hear me okay? We're all good? Okay. So this is going to be a very informal kind of a workshop. And we're gonna talk a lot about things that we all need to know that nobody else is talking about. And I do this all over the Metroplex, and I do it for different churches and nonprofits. I do this for men and women coming out of the service who need to find themselves and get back into communities and get careers. So this is something that I like to do as a passion, and hopefully we can all learn something together today. So I really look forward to this. And so one of the things I'm going to ask you for is some feedback. So when I ask you for some help here, you have the ability to push on your space bar, and that will open your mic up. And when you let go of your space bar, the mic will close. You don't have to mute and unmute. Most people aren't aware of that, but your space bar will open your mic up. So if you'll help me when I need some help, we can all benefit from this, because if you're feeling something I'm asking about, then everybody else is too. And so don't be shy about talking about it, because I promise you, you're not alone. I do this on a regular basis, and I basically run into the same things everywhere. So we have to get those feelings out. The truth is, and this is something I need y'all to know, when we talk about networking to land your dream job, what we're going to talk about today is has no interest in working with you today to help you get a job, right? That is not my goal. I have no interest in that whatsoever. What we are interested in today is helping you get your dream job, the job that you should be doing your whole life, where your path is set, where you know you should be, where your heart is engaged, and when you're passionate about your work. 98% of the best jobs in America are gotten through someone you know. And if we're not learning how to approach people the right way to get the right introductions, then we're leaving one of the best avenues out for fulfillment of our life work and our life career. So today we're going to spend about an hour and a half on something that nobody's ever talked to you about before, that will hopefully change your lives, as it's changed mine many, many years ago. And so when we talk about professional networking, there's an old saying that says it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And I'm going to dispel that truth right now from the very beginning. It is not what you know or who you know. Hold on a second, I'm getting interrupted by something that I don't want to be interrupted by. There we go. It's not what you know or who you know, right? That has no value to you. It's who you know that will be your advocate and your ambassador. Because just knowing the right people that won't be your ambassador or your advocate is of real no value to you. But if you can turn centers of influence and people that can really help you into your ambassador and advocate, then everything changes in your whole life for the rest of your life. So what we're going to talk about today is how to build ambassadors and advocates that will work for you because they love you and care about you, and you care about them, into something that can meaningfully change your life. So let's talk about that process first. Everybody okay? So before we start that, one of the things that I want to talk about is the barriers we have to reaching out to people that could be your advocate and your ambassador, right? And we all have those emotional barriers. And we really have to talk about that before we can talk about how to turn someone into an advocate or an ambassador, right? So if I asked you, what would keep you comfortably from reaching out to someone you know and asking for help to get in this transition that you're into right now, which is either, as I heard, from going to school into the career field, or you don't really know what you want to do, so you're changing whole life patterns here, or you know what you want to do, but you want to get introduced to the right company. So what would keep you from being comfortable approaching someone that you know and saying, hey, I need some help. Can you help me find the right job? Does anybody have anything that would make them uncomfortable to do that? Because most people do.
My name's Christina. Yes, I would say that maybe the perception that it's a disingenuous relationship, I guess, is kind of in the back of my mind. Like, hey, if I'm friends or I'm getting to know you as a friend, or if I've known you for a while, I guess that's my biggest hang up with networking is I don't want to come across as disingenuous in the relationship, even if it helps like further career interests.
You know, and that's a very moral and ethical position to take. And I get that a lot. And I appreciate that, Christina, because I'm sure everybody else feels the same way. And one of the things that we have to understand, and what you're really telling me is that you don't like the idea of abusing a relationship or asking someone to do something for you and sounding like you're my friend because I can use you, right? And that's what people don't want to come across as. And I get that a lot, right? So we're going to talk a lot about how to meld that relationship into a genuine relationship that is real for you and real for them. And it's not just, hey, I need you right now, so I want you to be my friend, and I understand that. And so professional networking is really about melding relationships more than just asking people to do something for you. So in order to become an advocate or ambassador, there has to be a relationship, or they have no real reason to do that. So we're going to talk a lot about that, and I love that statement. That's very important that we talk about that. Somebody give me some other ideas. What would make it uncomfortable for you? Does anybody have any other thoughts?
I do.
Go ahead, Gabby.
Okay, let's say you're not approaching them in person. Let's say you're approaching them through LinkedIn. I'm scared I might come off as like another spammer to that person.
Okay. And so that's, again, something that's very important is, if I'm talking to someone on a social media site, right, how have I built that relationship enough to where it makes sense to ask them for anything, right? So if it's just a random request, why would they help me, right?
Yeah,
So
that's what makes
exactly. So you guys are right on target about everything that we're going to talk about today. So I really appreciate that, because these are real barriers that really make it hard for people to get over that line to do what we need to do to build those advocates and those ambassadors. I love this. Need some more ideas. Anybody have any more?
One would be you feel needy.
Aha. Right, exactly, right. There's a sense of, there's always a sense of pride in us that we should be able to do it on our own, right? Why would I need to ask somebody to help me do what I should be doing myself, right? And so there's always that sense of ownership that we take, that we've been taught to take, that it's our responsibility, and asking other people is an imposition on them, but it also is a statement that, hey, I can't do this on my own. So I shouldn't be needing other people to do my job for me. And I get that a lot. So that's very important that we bring these things out and discuss that as well. I love this. This is great. Do we have any more ideas, or can I throw some out there for you? One of the things, go ahead.
Something that I've run across throughout my life and today is racial barriers.
Ooh, tell me about this. This is new to me.
Well, two of them, I think, being a woman,
Uh-huh.
actually, as well, and racial. It seems that trust, or just having people trust you versus having an opinion of who you might be and come from, if that makes any sense, because I think that's been my biggest barrier actually throughout life, is actually proving myself, even though I might have the education, the
Something froze on us. Do we know why?
proving myself.
Okay. So it's Sylvia, right? Sylvia, you're hitting to the heart core of professional networking to its core. And you've really added another dimension to this conversation today, which I really appreciate. And I do this all the time. And you really have brought up an issue that I'm going to discuss in great detail that no one else has ever brought up. So understanding the trust issue and what I bring to the table and the differences that we have among each other to try to bridge that to make it comfortable for someone is really a challenge. And so it becomes uncomfortable for a lot of people for that one reason. So that's a brilliant comment, and I really appreciate that. That's going to be the core of a lot of what we're going to talk about today. Hopefully we'll get past all this before the end of the day. All right. I love these comments. I also get comments like, I'm embarrassed to let anyone know that I've been laid off, or I don't know where I'm going in life or whatever. So it's kind of an embarrassment thing that I'm in this position. So I don't really want to expose that to anyone. And so I get that a lot. Anybody else feel that way? Well, it's good that you don't. I think that's great. And then I get comments like, I don't want to impose on my friends. That's not their job. Their job isn't to sit around and help me change my life. So I don't want to impose on them. So I get those comments a lot. And in reality, there's a lot of barriers that we live with before we can network professionally with people to get us the job we really want to have. And the sad part is that 98% of the best jobs in America are gotten through someone that we know. So if we don't have the comfort level and the skill set to do that, look what we're leaving on the table. So let's talk a lot about how we get into that mode so that it's no longer a discomfort, but more of an asset to us. The first thing I want to talk to you about is my background. When I first started out as a financial advisor a long time ago, I ran into a lady, and she's in my book, and all these things are discussed in my book, by the way. And there's a lady named Mary, and Mary was 65 years old, had raised 4 kids, and started a business about 61, and was already doing multi-million dollars of sales at 65, and was referred to me as one of my very first clients. Mary became a mentor to me, a brilliant lady. And I asked her one day, I said, Mary, I've got 3 degrees in economics, finance, and accounting. And we didn't really learn in college how to start a business with no money at 61 years old and turn it into a multi-million dollar business in 4 or 5 years. I said, what education did you have that I didn't have that I should have had, right? And she said, I never went to a business school. I never went to a business class. I never studied a business course my whole life. And I said, well, what would you say made you so successful so quickly? She goes, well, it was my degree, but it wasn't in business. My degree was in acting. And that's what's making me so successful. And I said, okay, I give. How would you turn an acting career into the success in the business world? And what she said to me the next minute changed my life forever. And we're going to start that process right now, right? And the most important thing she said to me is, when you leave your house, you're on stage all day, every day. And when you don't know that, then you don't have a chance of building relationships that will carry you to the successful part of life that you want. So what happens to most people, and what happens to us all, is we have all these things that bother us: anxiety, worry, fear, and we take those out with us to the community when we meet people, and we're not our best selves. And when you learn to be an actress, you can be your best self no matter how you feel. And so what she said to me is, if you want to be successful at anything in life, You have to be able to put aside the emotions that keep you down and be on stage to be your best self, even when you don't feel like it. Because attitude, when you're around people, is life-changing. And a negative attitude, because you're feeling bad, will only attract negative people. And a positive attitude, no matter how you feel, if you carry that positive attitude when you're engaging anyone, you will engage people that have positive feelings towards life. We are on stage all day, every day. And for us to get to that next level, we have to understand that concept first, because you always want to portray your best self no matter how you're feeling. Hard to do, but it's very important. And to put that in a different way, there was a reverend in Frisco that I'm not going to read to y'all today except for twice. This is important because this is what he said. He said, the longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past. It's more important than my education, than my money, than my successes. It's the most important thing that I can tell you we get to control. It's more important than the gifts God gave us or the skills we've acquired. The truth is, my attitude will make or break my family, make or break a church, or make or break a company. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day. And this is what Mary tried to tell me. We get the choice every day regarding the attitude that we take out into life, that we're going to embrace for that day. We can't change our past. We can't change what has happened to us already. What we can change is our attitude and how we reacted to it. The only thing we can do, the only string we get to play every single day is our attitude. And I'm convinced, and he's right as rain, life is 90% of what happens to us and 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we react to it. And that's the most important part of building blocks to build relationships that are lifelong, that'll make them advocates and ambassadors for you. And it'll make everything change when you try to bring a positive attitude, even when you're not feeling so positive, into every relationship that you have. And that'll be life-changing and life-building. And believe it or not, it's like any skill, the more you practice it, the easier it gets. And every single actress and actor who's a professional spends a lot of time, right, before they get on stage, projecting the persona that they want you to see. It doesn't happen overnight. They spend a lot of time with that persona. So being your best person in every relationship when you're not feeling that way takes some time. But once you start doing that every day, it becomes more natural and less awkward. And then you'll wonder, how could I ever have been so negative when I'm feeling so positive today? And life changes. Life changes for you, and life changes for the people you're around, always, even when you're not feeling it. And every person that's ever been in business can tell you, I've been rejected. I've had problems. I've had businesses blow up. I've been bankrupt. I've been this, I've been that. They don't let those negative things influence their opportunities and their vision of the future. Your opportunity and your vision of the future is what controls a positive attitude. So know who you are, know what your opportunities are, know what your vision is for you as a future, what your net self-worth is, and bring that positive attitude out every day. And that will help you. All right. The second building block to professional networking is involved with passion. And I'm going to tell you right now, beyond any stretch of the imagination, if you can bring passion to your life, passion to your relationships, passion to your vocabulary, when you're talking to people, you will create passion in them. It's so important. We leave that out in our life so much. But living life with purpose and life with passion and letting people know that you're excited and passionate about things, about your hobbies, your interests, things that you love to do, developing those passions and bringing them into the conversations gravitates people, their strength to you, not their weaknesses, their strengths to you. So having a passion and letting people know your passion goes a long way to building those real relationships that are not false, they're not temporary, they're not disingenuous, they're really about who you are. Which leads me to the most important thing I can tell you, which is what is professional networking? And professional networking is two things. It's a noun and it's a verb. All right, and I'm going to read it to you because it's important we understand what it is if we're going to learn how to engage that in our lives. So let's define it. Professional networking, by definition, is a supportive system of sharing information and services among individuals and groups having a common interest. And having a common interest is the key word here. I will tell you right now, you can never build an advocate or an ambassador with someone that doesn't have a common interest or a common passion with you. So who talked about disingenuous relationships, which I really loved? Who brought that out? Christina? All right, so yeah. Christina, if you have a common interest and a common passion with someone, then you have a non-disingenuous relationship. You have a genuine relationship. If there's no common interest and no common passion, then there's no relationship to build on. Let's just put it that way, right? So it is disingenuous, and you can't do that, and you shouldn't do it, right? So what we're going to try to do today is focus on building a network of people that we have a common interest and common passion with in order to build those real relationships. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And so if you look at it as a verb, it says here to cultivate people who can be helpful to one professionally. And the word cultivate is important, right? You can't just go to someone and say, I need help. You have to cultivate that relationship of a common passion and a common interest to make someone want to be an advocate and an ambassador for you. It doesn't happen overnight. It cultivates based upon passion and interest, right? And it especially is helpful when finding a job or getting a person of higher interest. And so what I kind of envision in all this is if we had a locker and it had $100 million in it and it was locked. There were 20 people in the room and one person had the key to that locker and could open it for you. But you had to ask 19 people or 20 people if they have the key, right? Kind of embarrassing to let people know that I want the money. Kind of needy to say, you know, I'd like to know if you have the key, right? It's kind of exposing yourself to that to 20 strangers you don't know, right? But if somebody has that key and they open that locker, that 100 million's yours, right? Is there anybody here that would say, I'm not going to ask the 20 people if they have that key because I don't want to be exposed. I don't want to be needy. I don't want to act like I'm vulnerable. I'm too proud to ask for it. I would personally be very willing to ask 20 people if they had the key, if they would open that locker for me, if somebody did, and take the $100 million. Is there anybody here that can honestly say they wouldn't do that? Right? We all would. So in life, if we meet the right person and cultivate the right relationship, that person will have the key to introducing you to the right job and change your life, which is a lot more important to you than $100 million sitting in a locker. So if we know that somebody in your circle of friends knows someone who can help you and opens that door for you and has that key to change your life, let's go find it. Instead of sitting there on Indeed and Monster.com, sending out 300 resumes a day, hoping somebody will call you, right? And they may not even be the right fit. So let's go find those relationships. Let's go build those common relationships. And if I were to ask you, who is the most natural networker on the planet, right? What subset of humanity would automatically be the best networkers you would ever meet, that immediately knows how to build those connections, has passionate for life, and can do it naturally? Can anybody think of a subset that just fits that perfectly in our lives? Any ideas? None?
Would it be salespeople? Maybe?
Salespeople are very good networkers. There's no question about it, right? So, but again, they have to go out and find those relationships and cultivate them to get referral business. And so it's really difficult for you to find that. You have to go out and look for it. But there is a subset that doesn't even have to do that. And that subset are new mothers. Right? If you're a new mother and you meet a new mother anywhere you go and they're carrying, a baby carriage, they just automatically have a bond. And you can share pediatricians and you can share daycare centers and you can become best friends in any play group instantaneously that you meet someone, because you carry a common bond and a common passion and a common interest, and you're always willing to share information. You don't have to go seek that out, right? It's just a natural thing because you're both experiencing a new thing in life. And everybody wants to share information and bond together. And it's so natural and so easy and so comfortable. And we lose that in any other form. So we have to go look for it. But natural mothers, they don't have to go look for it. New mothers, it just becomes a fun thing to do. So what we have to do is find that fun again, right? And to give you a story, one of my passions is I love to bike ride. And I'm a member of the Plano Bike Association, and I'm a ride leading instructor. And on Saturday mornings, we lead a ride that I lead, which is 40 miles at 16 miles an hour. And a number of years ago, a friend came to me, Dale, and he said, why don't we ride the MS 150 in 2 weeks? And I said, Dale, what's the MS 150? He said, we ride 85 miles on Saturday and 65 miles on Sunday. And I said, Dale, we ride 40 miles on a Saturday. You and I have never ridden 85 miles in our lifetime in one day. There's no chance we can do that. And he said, well, you're wrong. He said, if we can ride 40 miles, we're in condition. It's not that big a deal. We'll just ride longer and take more breaks. We'll get 85 miles in. And if we don't feel like doing it the next day, we won't, but I bet we'll feel like it. So he talked me into this. And so I went and got a package from the MS 150. And in a package, they have your starting deal and your shirt, and they have a big number and you pin it on. So if you get to the finish line, they take a picture of you and all these fun things, right? So the race starts at 7. It's not a race, but it's a ride. Starts at 7. You have to get there at 6 because they have to check your brakes out, your bike out, your helmet out, because you're riding with other people and everything has to be safe before they'll let you on the starting line. And so I had to get up at 5 o'clock. Well, I woke up at 5 in the morning, which I do every day of the week anyway. And there was no shirt for MS 150 in my package for a riding shirt, which was supposed to be in that package. And I hadn't really looked at it that closely. So I didn't have a shirt in there to pin the deal on. So I had 2 choices that morning. And one was to turn on the lights and wake up my wife at 5 in the morning to go look for my shirt if it came out or whatever. And the other was to leave the lights off, open my bike drawer, grab any shirt and just go. Well, I didn't really want to wake up at 5 in the morning having to listen to that for 5 weeks. So I decided to leave the lights off, go into my drawer and grab any shirt and go. And when I got there were 3,000 people with the same MS 150 shirt and numbers, and we hadn't really done this before, so we didn't know. So there was no way for me to find any of my friends that I was supposed to ride with. And the gun went off. And I rode the first 40, 50 miles. We had a nice lunch, but there were 2 things I didn't know that day. One, it was going to be 106 degrees on May 10th, the hottest day on record, probably in the last 20 years. And number 2 is we were going due west and the wind was coming at us at about 18 miles an hour, starting about 1:30. So I was already past my limit at 50 miles. And now I'm starting to go up hills going west in the heat against the wind. And they have 10 mile an hour. They have every 10 miles, they have a stop area where you can stop and rest. By the time I got that extra 10 miles in that heat against that wind, I was about half dead. And they have a van that picks you up if you quit, and they'll take you to the finish line. I'm not a quitter. There was no way I was going to admit to myself that I couldn't do this, even if I had to kill myself. So I made a decision that I would never ride 10 more miles without stopping 3 times. So every 2 or 3 miles, I would stop, get water, get out of the heat, get out of the wind, and continue to do this. And I don't care how long it took me, I was going to finish. Somewhere in that process, I could not feel my side anymore. I couldn't breathe. My hands, I couldn't even let go of the handlebars. And my feet were so cramped up, I couldn't feel the pedals anymore. And I was done. I mean, I couldn't move. It was cramped up everywhere. No matter how much water I drank, it wasn't enough, and I was done. And I knew if I went any further, I was going to end up in the hospital. I was way past my training limit, and it was too hot, too windy, and I was going like 5 miles an hour, and I was never going to get there. So I pulled over. Cop comes by, says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Well, I'm okay, but I'm going to wait for the van. I'm just done. I'm overheated. I'm exhausted. I'm cramped up. I'm just going to wait for the van." He said, "I hate to see you stop here. You're only 5 miles from the finish line." And I said, "Officer, if the finish line was across the street, I ain't getting there. I can't move one toe, much less anything else." He said, "Okay." So a little while later, a bike guy stopped and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm waiting for the van." He said, "Don't you know? You're only 5 miles from the finish line," which you don't understand how much that tears me up because I've never quit anything, but there was no way I was going to do that. And I said, "I know it, but I just can't do it. I'm worn out past my capacity." So he said, "Okay." A little while later, this guy stops. Looks like a big fullback on any professional football team you'll ever see. He was massive, probably 280 pounds, big frame. How he ever got that big body on that little bike that far, I'll never know. And he stopped and he said, "What are you doing?" And this is probably 40 minutes of me sitting there. I told him, he said, "No, no, 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 no. You're going to finish this race with me." I said, "I can't." He said, "You don't understand. I've done this before. This is the last hill. And then it's downhill all the way to the finish line." And he said, "I'm going to get in front of you and you're not going to feel a breeze because I'm so big. I'm going to draft you to the top of this hill. And if we have to walk it, we're going to walk it. But you're not going to sit here 5 miles from the finish line, period." I said, "Okay, if you're willing to get in front of me and we can go slow, then it's downhill from there. I think I can do it." So we did. And we got to the top, 2-3 miles an hour. He stayed right with me. I didn't feel any draft or any breeze whatsoever. We started downhill. It was pretty simple after that. And I pulled up next to him and I said, "What is your name?" He said, "My name is Fred." I didn't even ask him his last name. I feel bad to this day. I said, "I can't thank you for what you did for me because I don't like to quit." And he said, "I didn't do it for you." And I said, "Okay, why did you go through all that?" He said, "I did it for your shirt." I didn't even know what shirt I had on. It was 5 in the morning in the dark when I picked that shirt out of my drawer. So I said, "What in the world does my shirt have to do with this?" He said, "You're wearing a Komen cancer shirt, and anybody who supports cancer is never going to sit on the sidelines if I have anything to do with it, because my wife is a cancer survivor and she's behind us and she's going to finish this race today. And anyone who supports cancer isn't sitting on the sideline." That was a mind-blowing experience for me. And I learned something that day that I'm going to teach you guys because it's going to change your lives, right? It goes exactly to the heart of what I just said. When people have a common passion and a common interest in your life, they won't let you sit on the side of the road. If they don't have a common passion and common interest, why would they take a special interest in your success? But if they have a common passion, a common interest that you have, you don't even have to ask for the help. They won't let you sit on the side of the road. So what we want to do is we want to build relationships with people that have a common passion and common interest. And then it's a natural bond to work together to build each other's futures and whatever you need. So we're going to work on that right now. So everybody knows how to use a spreadsheet, right? So on column A, you're going to write down every human being that you know. Everybody. Column B is going to be, what do I have in common with them? What's a common passion with them? If you can't think of anything, you are never going to connect up with them. So your answer to your question about LinkedIn is, how do I connect up with somebody on LinkedIn? We have a lot of social media. Look at what their interests are. See if they mesh with yours, and then talk about that. When you connect up with them, hey, I see you love museums. Have you been to the museum of, in Fort Worth? Because I go there all the time. What art do you like? I love art. Build that common relationship and bond, and then everything becomes really natural. If you don't have it, don't waste your time. It can't work. There's no value in the relationship. So in column A, we're putting down everything that everyone that we know. Column B, what's our common bond? What's our common passion? All right. Column C is different. When I first started out as a financial advisor, I had a few clients. I'd been there 3 years, and a trainer came in and he asked all the young guys sitting there and ladies that had been there 3 years or more and had a modicum of success. And they said to us in a room, why does somebody do business with you? Right? Why is somebody picking you over every other financial advisor? Why are they doing that? Are they doing that because you can make better returns for them than everybody else on the planet? Every advisor at Smith Barney, Merrill Lynch, Payne Weber, and Morgan Stanley, you've been here 3 years. I don't think you're that good. Well, maybe it's because you're so trustworthy. Well, you're the only trustworthy financial advisor in Smith Barney, Payne Weber, and Morgan Stanley? I doubt it. Probably a very, very large group of financial advisors in Dallas that are very honest and very trustworthy. So why are they doing business with you? Well, maybe it's because you're so likable and charming. You're the only likable and charming financial advisor in the whole city? I doubt it. Well, if you don't know why they're doing business with you, you have no chance of being successful. You have to answer that question in order to attract people that want to do business with you. And if you don't know why they would do business with you, you can't succeed in any business. Well, maybe it's because you're so likable. Well, you're the only likable financial advisor in the whole city? I doubt it. What is special about you? Nobody can answer the question. And he said, the answer to that question is going to change your lives. And it did mine. And I'm going to change yours right now. Nobody does business with you because you're likable, you're honest, you're charming, you're competent, right? So a lot of people that have that, that's a given that you have to do anything in this world. What differentiates you, why somebody would do business with me and why somebody would be your advocate, is not how much they like you, but how much you like them. And if people don't know you care about them and you like them, they will never be your advocate or your ambassador. And he told me, if your clients don't know how much you care about them and admire them, they'll leave you because you're nothing special to them and they're nothing special to you. And if they are special to you, you have to tell them. And they will never leave you because nobody else is telling them they're special. When they go to work, they're getting chumped on for not doing this, not doing that. Projects have to be done. When they go home, their kids are yelling at them, Dad, do this, Dad, do that, or Mom, do this, or you haven't done that. Who's telling them they're fantastic? Nobody. You do that, you win. Go back to your desk, he told me, and tell every single client how much you admire them and why, or get rid of them, because they will never be a long-term client of yours. And if you tell them that, they will never leave you the rest of your life. You've built a long-term relationship that is binding. So I went back to my office, true story, called the doctor, been with me 6 or 8 months, unbelievable guy, pediatrician, sees, 12 patients a day or whatever from, whatever it is from, from 8 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. And then he goes to the hospital and does rounds. And then he carried a pager because we didn't have cell phones in those days, wakes up at 2 in the morning and delivers babies and does it the next day. Never in a bad mood. So I called him when I got back to my office and I said, doctor, I want to tell you something that I haven't told you. And that's how much I admire you. He said, what do you mean? And I said, look at what you do, right? All the years you went to med school, you give up your whole life. You take care of your patients. You're at the hospital. You never sleep. And every time we talk, you're in a good mood. I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do it. You're an amazing human being. And it's a pleasure and an honor to know you. And if my whole book of business, the rest of my life was like you, I would feel like I died and went to heaven. Now, I didn't make that up. He told me to tell everybody that. So I did. He said, and that was exactly what I said. And he said to me, you really feel that way? And I said, doctor, I wouldn't have picked up the phone and called you if I didn't. And I'm sorry I haven't told you before. He said, could you do me a favor? Honest truth. I said, what is it? He said, my grandfather passed away and left me $2 million of municipal bonds that I have at Fidelity that I've never really messed with because that's where he had his account. I don't have time to watch them. I don't have time to pay attention. Can I transfer those to you? And will you take care of them for me? I didn't even know he had them, right? I'd never even asked him if he had other money. I didn't even have to ask him anymore. He wanted me to take care of him and his family forever. That was 36 years ago. By the time we were done with that relationship, I was taking care of his parents. He's passed away. I take care of his wife and I take care of his son. 3 generations now, 36 years later, because of that one statement that I made to him. And every client I've had since then, if they're my client, I like them and I tell them. In that next column, when you sit down to build an advocate or an ambassador, you have to write down what you admire about them. And then you have to tell them. You're an amazing human being. I love getting to know you. These are the things that I really admire about you. You say those things to everybody in your life, to your family, to your kids, to your wife, to your cousins, to your friends, that you really feel that it strengthens relationships beyond your wildest imagination. And he told us, if you want to be successful, you have to let your clients know you care about them. And you'll never have to worry about building a career. They will build it for you. I started with 0. Today, I have 7 financial advisors on my team. I've got 14 support staff. We manage 1.5 billion. And I didn't do it through cold calling. I did it through networking, the old-fashioned way. Getting involved with people, caring about their lives, and letting them know. And they just do everything they can to help me grow a business. It's genuine relationships. So on that next column, write down what it is you admire about them and what you care about them and let them know. All right. These are important building blocks for professional networking, and you won't find this education anywhere else. There's no books on this subject, which is why I wrote the book. And there's nobody talking about this, which is why I do this. I want people to have as much success and blessed life as I've had with the people that have mentored me as much as I can spread the word. It changes lives, and it changed mine. In the next column, you're going to write down how you're going to contact them. Facebook, LinkedIn, you know their phone number, you know their cell number. Write down on your spreadsheet how you're going to connect up with them. On the next column, you're going to write down when you want to connect up with them. If you have 50 people on your list that you want to talk to, you can't connect up with 50 people the first day. You'll never be able to follow up and build that relationship. So you want to put down, spread it out, right? I want to talk to 3 people today, a couple of people in a week, whatever. You need to be proactive in this. You're no longer a victim with somebody who laid you off trying to get back in the workforce. You're now your own advocate, your own ambassador, building your own future, and you are moving forward in life to change your life. And when I was internationally ranked in chess, we always knew the best defense was a good offense. And now you can take the offense. So you're going to contact these people and build these relationships. You can do it over a cup of coffee. You can do it over Zoom. You can do it in person, however it is. And it doesn't matter what race, what religion, what sex you are, right? What matters is what do you bring to the table to show somebody you care about them? And they're going to respond if you have a common interest and common passion. When you say you care about them, it doesn't matter what your background is. It builds relationships instantly that nobody else is telling them how much they really are admired and what it is they do. Now, when you do this, you have to understand that people are busy, right? And they can't talk to you right now. They can't have that Zoom meeting. They're going on vacation. They've got 2 projects to do. They got kids that are taking exams, whatever it is. And they say, call me back in a couple of weeks and let's talk. Now, you got to put that on the spreadsheet and call them back. Because if someone says, call me back in April, and you don't call them back till May because you forgot or you got busy, you've told them you're not important to me. Because in May, they're busy again, and you've lost that window when they said they're not, and you didn't call them when they said they wanted you to. And what you've told them is, I kind of put this on the back burner because you're not that important to me, so I'll get with you later. Doesn't work that way. You can't build relationships putting people off when they've asked you to call them, when they need you to call them to call back, because you've sent them the wrong message. Now, if you call them the second time, or you get in touch with them or email them, and they say, you know what, I really thought I'd be available in April, but now it's not going to be till June, put it down in June and call them again. When you do this 2 or 3 times, you're sending them a message they're important to you. Finally, they get that message and they will make time for you. So they're not rejecting you. They don't really understand how important this is, but they get it when you've done it 2 or 3 times. And then they give you the time, right? People don't just automatically respond when you want them to, but they respond over time if you show them how important they are to you. So give it time, build the relationship, build trust, right? Someone talked about trust. Why would they trust me? They trust you because you spent the time to get engaged with them, and you give them the patience and the time to do it at their schedule, not yours. And you stayed on that path until they have time for you. That builds trust, and it builds sincerity, and it's not fake. And clearly, if you don't have anything in passion with them and common interest, and clearly you don't like them, take them off your list. It's a waste of time. Is this helping y'all at all? I mean, are we on target? All right, so in a spreadsheet, there's another section I want you to build. And before you start this section, I want you to write down on top of it, you know, what all your passions are. I love Habitat for Humanity. I love the arts. I love to shoot guns. I love to bike ride. Write down all your interests and all your passions. You're not working right now. So you have time to really engage people that do what it is you like to do. And I can promise you, if you're doing the things you love to do and you meet someone who loves to do that same thing, they go on that list. And you can build that whole network, if you don't have it already, by going to things that people have the same passions you do. So once you've written it down, go on the internet and find groups of people that love to do it. And then make sure you engage those associations and groups doing what it is you love to do. And if you love to go to museums, I can promise you there's a lot of groups that get together that love the arts. If you love music, they like to do things with, you know, go to pubs and things like that and listen to music. And it's jazz or whatever it is. You can meet people. It's weird, but when you go to do things with people that you don't know, you've never met, that has the same passion, they may be a little shy to talk to you. And they may be a little shy to engage you. So we have to get past that, right? And the trick to that, which is going to change everything for you right now, is that in every association and every group on the internet, they always say, for more information on this group, contact so-and-so. So before you go into the group meeting, contact the person that says, I want to meet you. If you love this kind of thing, I want to meet you and talk to you about my group. There's three types of people in professional networking. There are people that I call connectors, like the guy was on the side of the road that made sure I couldn't fail. They'll do everything in the world they can for you. They're connectors. They get a real reward at helping people, right? Is there anybody here that has introduced someone and they got married? Anybody? You have, right? And you tell everyone, I introduced them, right? They met because of me, right? People get a tremendous reward out of knowing that they affected somebody else's life in a positive way. You weren't asked to introduce them. It happened, and you just feel so good about that, right? There are people that they just internally smile when they can help somebody else out. They're connectors, and that's who you want to be your advocate and your ambassador. That's who will always step up to the plate for you. That's the relationship you want to build. So when someone says, if you want to know more about, my group that goes to see museums, contact me, we know they're a connector, or they wouldn't put themselves out there and volunteer their time. So we want to meet them first. And we want to find all about what it is they did and how they got involved in the arts and what kind of art they like, and tell me about the organization and who these people are. Get to know them. That's an ambassador and advocate waiting to happen for you, because you have the same passion, the same interest, and you already know that they love helping people, or they wouldn't have done that. Then when you go to the first meeting or organizational deal and you've met Fred or Mary and you've gotten to know them, they'll introduce you to the right people that are like them. And all of a sudden you've met 4 new people who love to shoot guns or love to ride bikes or love to do this like the way you do, that are like the guy or the lady you just met, because they attract each other. And you're building an ambassador of networks of people that you can genuinely have great friendships with the rest of your life. And if you need something, they're going to bend over backwards to help you. It's not that hard. They work hard at it for you. So that's your second group. Your third group in your spreadsheet is your professional skills. You want to go to every professional association meeting while you're unemployed of people that have the same skill and profession you do, because we know they have a common bond with you. If you're in IT or whatever you're into, there's an association of IT professionals that you should go be meeting, and they know where the job openings are because they're in the business. And they have the same passion you do for the same kind of work. And it's automatic. But again, don't go to the meeting until you've met the person that says, for more information on this group, contact me. Because he's going to introduce you, or she is, to the people you should know in the group. So you have your first group of everybody you know, your second group of everybody that has the same passion and interest you do. If you like to bowl, you like to, whatever you like to do, go out and do it. Have some fun, meet the right people. And then go to professional association meetings and meet those people. It beats sitting on a computer all day long, sending out resumes. And you'll meet a lot of good, wonderful people that'll make lifelong friends with you. The last group that you want to put on your spreadsheet is every human being you can think of that you ever worked with, that you liked and admired and enjoyed working with. Because they know your work habits, they know your ethics, they know everything about you, they've worked with you. And if there's somebody they know that can help you get into a job slot, it's easy for them to recommend you because they've worked with you. And it doesn't matter if they live in Tucson or they live in New York or they live in Kansas. You don't know who their uncles are, their cousins are, their friends are, their college roommates are. They could live right here in Dallas and be the CEO of a company and get you right in. We live in 6 degrees of separation. So go back to those people. Even if you haven't talked to them for 10 years, find them on LinkedIn, find them on Facebook, find somebody you know that knows them. Let them know what's going on and see, build that relationship again, how much you enjoyed working with them, and let them know what's going on. The last column is the most important column in this whole thing, right? Which I haven't discussed yet with you. And the last column is, how do you approach someone and say, I'm out of a job, I need to move back, I'm in transition, whatever it is, and make it comfortable for them to want to help you. That's the biggest part of the whole thing, right? When you talk about somebody else and their passions and their interest, what we're basically saying is it's all about you. It's not about me. I'm interested in your family, your passion, your interest. I'm interested in you because I like you. I care about you. Tell me more. You're making it all about them and not about you. That's really important part of the whole thing, right? I've done financial planning for 36 years. And when I do a financial plan, I ask them about their parents, their debt, their family, their kids, special needs kids, autistic kids, their divorces. I know everything about them before I do a financial plan. In 36 years, how many clients do you think that I've done that for that know that I have 2 kids? 0. They don't care. They're not interested in me. It's me helping them. Am I frozen or y'all, can y'all see me? Are y'all there? Y'all can see me, I'm not frozen? Okay, so, and so it's all about them, right? So when you start asking someone to help you, you're switching it from them to about you. And there it becomes a disconnect because they're not there to help you in your life. And as someone said, it's disingenuous to start asking people to help me, even if I have a good relationship with them and they really want to help me. I don't feel comfortable approaching them for the sole purpose of helping me, right? So that last column is the most important column, right? And for me, I had to learn how to work with people and have them feel comfortable referring me to their friends and family without me asking them for help. Because they're not, when I pick on a client and help them financially, it is not their job to help me build my business. That's not why they came here. They came here for me to help them, not for them to help me, right? So how do we switch that so that when we're working with people that they can feel like we're actually involved in a relationship that's mutual rather than just help me, right? How many of y'all have what I would call elevator speeches? Everybody? Right? Mary, do you teach elevator speeches at all? You're muted.
Yes, we do. We actually just had a presentation last week about someone who made it even shorter than that. But yes.
Okay. So the thing I have a problem with elevator speeches is that it's all about me. You know, this is what I do. This is what I did. This is what I'm looking for. It's all about me, right? And elevator speeches aren't so bad if you're in a professional association and everybody's a teacher, everybody's IT, because you're both all discussing what it is your skill sets are, and everybody can kind of engage in that, right? But if you're talking to a CPA and you're an IT person, they don't really understand what it is you do when you tell them. And you know, if you build nano widgets and you're talking to an attorney who could be your advocate, there's not much they can do for you, right? So they don't even understand what you're talking about, much less how they can help you. So in the last column, we need to change the dynamic. And we need to change how we think about elevator speeches completely if we're going to be professional networkers, right? So the whole thing is about the relationship, not about me, right? And an elevator speech clearly is about me. And that switches what we spent 40 minutes developing in a great cup of coffee about learning about bowling and how did you get involved in bowling and when did you volunteer or whatever it is, because that's amazing to me that you're a full-time worker, a family member, and you still take time to volunteer for the arts or whatever you're doing. That just is so impressive. By the way, can you help me, right? It just comes off awkward. It doesn't switch, right? So we're going to change that today. So on the last column, what you're going to do before you go into any of these things is you're going to do the research and find 4 or 5 companies in the Metroplex that have the need for your skill set, right? The demographics, the location, 4 or 5 companies that you really feel like you can add value to, that you belong at if you could get a job there. And you're going to put that in the last column. And then after you spend all this time developing the relationship, instead of saying, do you know anybody that's hiring, a nanotechnology specialist to an attorney, which is a real waste of time anyway, and it'll ruin everything you just started. What you can say and what you should say is, I have a passion for nanotechnology, and I worked for, all these years in this company, and I loved it. And it's unfortunate that during COVID or whatever, they had to lay off people and I got laid off. And I want to get back to work where I can add value and I can add passion and help another company, do what it is we're trying to achieve. And I've identified 4 or 5 companies that I think would be a perfect fit for me where I could add value to them. And these are the 4 or 5 companies. If you know anyone in those companies that you feel I could add value to, I would love an opportunity to meet them. Now you're not asking him to help you, believe it or not. What you're saying to him is, if you know someone in a company that's looking for someone that needs my services, I think I can fit in and do a good job for them, right? Everybody right now is looking for help. And they're telling all their friends, if you know someone that I should be talking to, I need to talk to them. So now you're giving them an opportunity to do a friend a favor. You should talk to this lady, right? I've had a wonderful conversation with her. She's an incredible human being, and I think she could really add value to your company, and I'd love for you to get engaged with her, right? When I tell a client, I would love to grow my business, can you send me 3 new clients? The answer is going to be, screw you. Excuse me. I don't do that, right? But if I say to a client, you're an amazing human being, and I love working with you. If there's somebody that you care about, that you think could use my services at the level that we're engaged, right? I would love to help them like I'm helping you. They deserve that. So if you know anyone that you think that I should be talking to help them the way we have a relationship, I would love to do that. I don't want to meet everybody, right? I don't care about that. I want to meet somebody you care about. And if you think I can help them, then please let them know if they're unhappy, I'll be there for them, just like I'm there for you. Then they go out and tell their friends, have you talked to my financial advisor? Because that guy's incredible. And if you're not getting the service I am, you should talk to him. Because now they're helping their friends out, get the same level of service they are. Grows a huge business. If you've built the relationship, you have a lot of stuff in common. They know you care about them and you admire them. They're not going to let their friends sit on the side of the road and get no service at all when they're getting great service. They're going to let them know. But if I said, can you send me 3 friends? The answer is going to be no. But if I say to them, you're an incredible human being. I would love to be able to help your friends like you're being helped. If you care about them, if you see that and you think there's somebody I can help, let me know. Comes in every day, all day. So when you say to someone that you've built that relationship with, hey, I'm out there on the workforce, there's 4 or 5 companies that I can add value to. If you know somebody in those companies you think I should be talking to, I would love to talk to them and see if it's a good fit, but I think it would be because I've done a lot of research. Then they're going to go think of who do I know in those companies. They may not even know that that company is doing what it is you do. But they may sit on a board with a guy that's a CEO of that company, and immediately he calls up his buddy and says, you want to know who, you won't believe who I talked to. I didn't even know you guys did this, but she's got an opportunity to help you. Would you like to talk to her? Absolutely. We're looking. Boom, you're in, right? What you don't understand is when a guy on the board tells his other buddy, I've met this person, she's fantastic, you should talk to her. You've got the job before you ever get there. You'd have to talk them out of it because you've already gotten the highest credible reference a person can get, which is one of their close friends, one of their business associates, somebody they believe in credible on the same level they are. Everything changes for you when you go in for that interview. Plus, you've already identified the company as the place you want to work. These are critical steps to professional networking to land your dream job. If you build these relationships, people are not going to refer you to a company that they know the guy's a jerk. They won't do it. They're always putting you in front of the best people they know that you could never get in front of on your own, ever, unless it's just luck. So going on the offense to let people know you care about them, that you're passionate about life, that you're always on stage, to meet the right people, and to be genuine in building those relationships, they're lifelong. Because now you're meeting someone that anytime you want to go bowling, or you want to go to the arts, or you want to go on a bike ride, you've got somebody in your Rolodex. Hey, let's go out, let's go do this, let's go do that. Or I'm going to the group thing next week. Why don't you come? See if we can tag up and have dinner afterwards, or whatever. You build these relationships. You're networking in a level that nobody else knows how to do. So these are very, very, very strong relationships that bond for life. And by the way, as soon as they need something, the first person they're going to pick up and call is you. My clients call me all the time. Do you know an attorney? Do you know a doctor? Do you know a pharmacist? Do you know you have a really good, electrician, whatever. We all have Rolodexes, and we all exchange them now. And I call my clients and say, do you know anybody that does this? We have a great relationship. Those are the relationships you want to have in your Rolodex at all the time. Now, when you're through with any of these conversations, two things have to happen, or everything gets ruined if you don't do this. Everything you've built goes away in that 1 second. The first thing is you have to call them, write them, send them a personal note, email them, and thank them for the opportunity or the time they gave you and how much you loved getting to know them better. That builds trust, sincerity, honesty, and appreciation, and humility. They know you're serious. You know you're serious. You're humble. You're human. You have humility, and you want to thank people for the time they gave you. You have to do that. If you're in this frame of mind and you ask them if they know anybody in 4 or 5 companies, and they don't, it's okay. Doesn't mean they won't meet somebody tomorrow. Ask a friend, do you know somebody in one of these companies? They just network for you. Come back to you and say, I didn't know that person, but my sister is very, very good friends with their neighbor who happens to be the guy you need to meet. They're networking for you, believe it or not, right after you get through. So when you get through, the last thing you say to them is, I can't thank you enough. By the way, if I find another company that fits for me or two, is there a time that I can come back to you and give you those names and see if you know anyone? Then you're getting buy-in to stay in this relationship. And you're not just presuming it. You're asking their permission. It builds trust. You're not imposing, you're asking. And of course, they're always going to say, anytime you come up with anything that you think I can help you with, please let me know. If I can help you, I'm happy to. But if you don't remember those 4 names or 5 names you had on the spreadsheet, you're not going to remember who you asked what. So networking is not an accident. It's a process that never stops your whole life. It's a life skill set, not just about getting a job, but about everything you do in life. You should have a network of people that are your ambassadors and advocates, and you're their ambassador and you're their advocate. And then you will never look back and say it's not what you know or who you know. What you'll look back in and you'll say, I know this person because we're friends. We have, we go to football together, we go to basketball, we go bowling. They're great people. I love them. And if I can do something for you, I'm happy to call them. These are genuine lifetime relationships. This is professional networking. Right? This is building that opportunity to change your life, to get your dream job. When you need a promotion, a lot of times you have to move out to move up. Go back to your network. This is what I'm looking for. If you know anyone, I'd love to meet them. Right? So that's what life is. It's engaging people, and it's engaging the right people the right way with care, compassion, and passion. right? And a positive attitude. If you go on a date and you spend the whole date talking about what a jerk your last relationship was, and nobody wants to hear that. By the time the end of the date is over, that's your last date with that person. They don't want to hear all the negative things you've been through in every relationship you ever had. That's not your best self, right? When you go on an interview, show your passion for the job, for your career, for what it is you like to do. When the person's interviewing you and you don't show passion, why would they hire you? You're just like everybody else that just wants a job. We're not here to get a job. We're here to get a job we love, that we're passionate about, that we'll have the rest of our lives. So we're not sitting in this room again 2 years later when there's a layoff. Nobody's going to lay off somebody who loves their job, loves their passion, builds relationships at the company. They lay off people that come to work for a paycheck. I don't like working for paychecks. I don't want any of you working for paychecks. I want you to work for your passion, for your heart. If you don't know what it is you want to do, ask your friends what gets you excited. They know. If you're dating the wrong person, everyone knows it but you. Is that not true? Right? You shouldn't be dating that person. That person's wrong for you. I don't see it. By the time it's all over, you've busted up and you're miserable and everything's frustrated, but everybody knew it but you. Your friends know you. So if you don't know what it is you really want to do, ask your friends what lights me up, what gets me excited, what am I passionate about? And then seek that out for a career. The people that are most successful in life never work a day. They love what they do every day, and I'm one of them. But I wasn't when I started. I didn't start this business till I was 33, and when I was 20, I graduated college, and everything I tried, I hated. And I never did it again. And I tried a lot of different jobs in a lot of different cities. And a friend of mine said, you should be a financial advisor. I said, why? He said, because you love people and you're great with numbers and you always think ahead. This would be a perfect career for you. He was a financial advisor. I said, that's something I never want to do, right? The idea of doing that just sounds so boring to me. He said, you're wrong. I'm going to get you an interview with Merrill Lynch and you're going to take the job because this is where you belong. Against my better judgment, I went and did it. He was dead right. I never would have done it on my own. Ask your friends, where do you see me? And listen to them. And it won't be what you think. It'll be how they see you. And you'll be surprised at the answers you get and the things you should be doing that they know you should have been doing all along. It's so important. So there's so many things I can tell you, and I could spend 2 more hours doing this. Unfortunately, we're into the time. So I hopefully have given you some ideas that are different than what you've heard that will help you change your lives, like I had my life changed. And my book has a lot of stuff in it, and it's not very expensive. I forgot. I think it's like 14 or 16 bucks or something. I just did it to write it to help people. There's a whole story behind getting that book written that's unbelievable, which I will tell you, and then I'll close it off. I wanted to put it in writing what my workshops were. I was already doing all these workshops and everybody wanted it in writing because I speak for 2 hours and it's just a lot of stuff that you can't really keep notes on and remember everything. And so they wanted something in writing, and I can't write. I'm a great speaker, but a terrible writer. My wife says I can't spell cat if you give me the C and the T. So I was never going to write it. And so I called SMU and I asked for a student in English, help me write, the notes out, right? Don't have anyone at SMU that would ever help you do that. And I said, I'm willing to pay for it. No student will do that. Waste of their time. I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, they're here for creative fiction work. They're not interested in writing a business manuscript. You'll never get anyone to do it for any amount of money. That's not what they're here for. I said, when I was a college student, somebody offered me a job, I would do it. Well, our kids won't. So they posted on the bulletin board. I got no phone calls. I said, well, maybe these kids at SMU all have money. So I went to UTD, got the same response, nothing. Went to North Texas State University up in Denton, University of North Texas, whatever they call it, and got no student in English willing to help me do anything. And I posted for money. So I gave up. One day, I was getting a baked potato at a counter in a small restaurant in Dallas, which is no longer in existence. And the lady next to me had 2 books in her hand. And she was talking about the fact that her and her friends that was with her are publishing these books for churches, and they're publishers and they need to write them and finish for the minister. And I said, are you a writer? She goes, yes, I'm also a publisher. I publish for churches. And I said to her, I want somebody to help me write my book to help people. Would you be willing to do this? I'll buy you lunch. So I did. And we sat down and talked, and I explained to her what I wanted to do. And she said, I can help you, and I'm helping you to publish your book, whatever you need. And we became very, very close friends. We're close friends to this day. And she actually helped me completely. She came to my seminar. She took all the notes. The book you're reading is the book that she helped me write. And she's very, very, very close friend of mine today. And I met her getting a baked potato. So you just never know where you're going to meet someone that's going to change your life. Trust me. Happens every day. Have a positive attitude, have a vision for what you want, and never be afraid to meet someone new that you can network with to really enjoy from anywhere. And always be on stage. Always be ready. Always be ready for the opportunity for success, because it'll happen for you. I'm going to close this off, and hopefully you'll appreciate this, of the story of 2 guys that are cutting down a tree. And the first guy's used his axe and cut down the first tree and cut down the second tree. And the second guy's over there just pounding away in his first tree. And he hadn't even cut one down yet. So he goes to his buddy. He said, Fred, why don't you sharpen your axe? He said, I'm too busy cutting down this tree to go sharpen my axe. Right? And how many of us do the same thing the hard way and never take the time to go learn what it is we need to do to make it easy on ourselves, or to go sharpen our axe? I admire all of you for taking the time out of your busy day to come to this presentation to try to sharpen your axe, because there's other things you could be doing. And if I helped you sharpen your axe just one little bit to improve the quality of your lives and your opportunities for your future, then I will fulfill my mission to help other people. And so I thank you for your time, and I hope we sharpened your axe. And I
Great.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
For your
much,
time.
Jay. Do you have time for a few questions? If
I have
anyone has
time.
them?
I want to
well,
get,
yeah,
I'm on LinkedIn. My name is
Okay.
Jay. Last name is Arbetter. I'm happy to link in with everybody. If you're a member of any organization, churches, or support groups that you feel like this message would be of value, I've got the time and the passion to help as many people find their way as someone helped me when I was young and kind of lost, and the training that I've gotten to be as successful and blessed as I am. So that's my mission for the rest of my life. So to the level that I can help anybody, any organizations you're members of, I'll make the time to do it. So my email address is JAR as in Roy, B as in Bob, ET, JARBET 3539 at AOL.com. Don't laugh at me. My wife won't give up AOL. And you can email me, you can LinkedIn with me. If you have any successes based on anything we've talked about, anything that makes your life a little easier, you can share those with me. I always like to hear it. When you're done and you found your dream job, go back to everyone that you engaged and let them know you got a wonderful job and you're really happy, and let them know, because they're happy for you, because they're the right people. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And so let me answer any questions.
Yeah, we've got about 5 minutes for questions if anyone has any.
If you don't want to ask them here and you want to ask them on LinkedIn or email me, please feel free to. I will take the time and make sure we connect. Okay. Chris, I'm happy to do this for your church anytime you want me to. Christina, did you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, kind of getting back to your point about everything's a stage. Your everyday life is a stage. And obviously trying to go in with a positive attitude. Um, I kind of tend to be the person that unfortunately wears my heart on my sleeve a little bit.
We all are.
So yeah, and it's I think it might be a little bit worse than others though, because people seem to pick up on my facial expressions very easily. So I'm going to be trying to work on, I guess it's like in emotional intelligence or how I'm emoting. But when it comes to the introductions, I guess it might be more of a comment, because I kind of noticed at the end of this, when I started out by introducing myself, it probably wasn't almost in the most positive light. I feel like maybe that's part of something, just from your presentation I need to go back and work on. It's just not, I don't know if it's something other people experience too, but it just seems like I feel like, oh, I kind of like downplayed my credentials or something. I think the way I introduced myself was, oh yeah, I have more degrees, but not as much experience. So I wanted to know your perception of when it comes to the initial introductions. Is that putting your best foot forward? Is that probably one of the most important things that we need to be working on, is just being mindful of how we're introducing ourselves?
Christina, I really want to back you out of that whole emotional tuggle that you're living with, right? Because you're again putting yourself in the middle of this relationship when it's all about them, right? You're still trying to evaluate your worth in it instead of making the other person realize they're worthy as a human being, right? And so when you introduce yourself to someone, it's to get to know the other person. Tell me about you. What's your interest? What are your hobbies? What are your passions? Tell me about your family. It's not about us, it's about them. And the more we put ourselves into that mix, the more uncomfortable and awkward it is for everybody, not just you, right? So your background and your credentials, just like my family, the other person really isn't as interested in it as you think, right? They're really interested in themselves more than you know, right? So to build that relationship, take yourself out of that when you introduce someone and say, I'd really like to get to know more about you. Tell me about your family, your kids, your wife, your career. What is it that you do? What it is that you're passionate about? Build that kind of relationship, and then it doesn't matter what you do or what your background is. They're going to fall in love with you as a person because you cared about them. There's an old saying that says, I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. Right? So take yourself out of these things as much as you can, and all the insecurities and all the things we live with every day, the things that bother us the most become really, really, really less relevant in that new relationship. They're about them. And then we can relax because we're not exposing ourselves. We're finding out about the other person. And that's what really builds relationships. Does that help you at all?
Yeah, that does, because you have a good point. People are more interested in themselves sometimes than others. So it's a very good perspective to have, right? Because it kind of relieves the pressure.
It does. It relieves all the pressure. Exactly. I love the way you said that. And then you said another thing, which is, I wear my my emotions on my sleeve. Well, that's an incredibly strong, powerful thing to do, right? Because if you have a passion about things and you won't express it, if you care about people and they don't know it, and you're too timid and too shy to feel who you are and what your passions are and what your cares are, then you can't engage other people. So the fact that you wear those emotions on your sleeve, then people will gravitate to you because you're genuine and you're real and you're not fake, right? So bring those passions, those interests, that care, that compassion out when you're meeting anyone. Don't hide those things. Be relevant with them, right? The negative things, there's so many things we can do in prayer before we get up in the morning and we get out to relieve the negativity in our bodies, right? pray to God to take away the stresses and let me be the best person I can be today. There's many things we can do in just getting ready for the day to be a better person that we can be, right? And not let yesterday's, excuse my French, crap affect today's life, right? One of my most incredible events happened to me in college, where I flunked 2 tests in the morning. And I felt really bad. And I went to the dorm room. I went to the dorm to get a hamburger and go back to bed as quickly as possible. And the guy in front of me got the last hamburger patty. And I was so mad. It was just like a terrible morning. And the guy behind me said something that changed my life for the rest of my life. And I never forgot it. And he said, he blurted out, I didn't even know him. And he said, oh my God, what a lucky day. I get fresh, new hot hamburger meat. We were both standing in the same place at the same time. And because I had failed to test, all I could think of is the guy in front of me got the last one. The other guy standing there says, look, I get fresh, new hot hamburger meat. It's unbelievable what that did to me that minute. I never let the negative experience of my past affect my emotional opportunity of looking to the future ever again. Because you can sit in the same place at the same time and you can look at everything negative and somebody else can see the positive. I never let negativity affect my opportunity for what might happen in the future. So take some time each day before you go out to shed the negativity that other people create and look for who you are, the opportunities of your future. Life will change.
Great. That's a
Okay.
wonderful message to end on. Thank you so much, Jay. We'll just close in prayer, and we just appreciate you so much taking the time out of your busy day to give back and just having such an inspirational and positive message.
And I'm happy to do this for your church once a quarter. People change all the time. Anytime you need me, anytime you want me to do it, you know, I'm there for you.
I really appreciate that. Okay, very good. Well, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, dear Lord, thank you for this time. Thank you for our speaker and for his positive message. Help us to each day capture the positive and be the best that we can be each day for you, so that we can seek your plan and live your plan and feel that we can impact lives of others and feel passion and motivation to drive those goals and seek and serve the world that you have created for us. All this we ask in our name, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
I love that prayer. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Y'all have a wonderful week and we'll be in touch.
Thank you all so much for your time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for your time.